Hello and welcome back. So let's move on to the neck. I'm gonna do this first with that high resolution model still alive. I'm gonna do a extrusion and drag that down. Okay. Now after that, I'm gonna grab those extruded faces and do a extraction so that they're separated. And then I just grab that part and start doing the quad draw. The reason for that is I want to start with a simpler model so that I don't have those lagging performance issue, which I will have. Oh, and somehow the symmetry is broken, so maybe let me go delete the other part and move those vertices to the middle of the grid, and so that I can remirror it. I don't need that. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, it should be okay now. Let me go back to Quadro 2 so that I can keep doing my retopologizing. Oh, let me turn on the symmetry. Symmetry, object X. Alright. Let me even those vertices out before I move on to the bottom. So what I want to end up here for the neck, one of the important concepts is that deformation over shape. Deformation is more important than the topology. On the topology part, it's more important than the shape muscle structures like this muscle here. Now you can have a loop to represent it, but you don't want to do it in a really tilted way that all the topology there ends up with diamond shapes across the neck. That's going to cause the bending weighting part to be really difficult to do. So I will still keep those loops here, this one, that one, and the bottom one here. Those ones I created flat or horizontal instead of going this way. Don't do that, because if you do that, then your loop will be all tilted, and that's going to be really hard for weight painting of that part. Alright, for what's happening in the middle, one recommendation is you just keep it going down. You don't have it stop in the middle, because that's going to also cause troubles for the weighting part. So they all go down, so we don't have to do a lot of things here. So if there are a lot of loops, just connect them. Make them go down. Doesn't do this side, huh? I think I messed up with the symmetry again. I must have dragged that one before. No problem, just make them all flat again, and then holding down X to make them go to the middle and do one more mirroring. And then change that to 0.001, and we're happy again. Okay, and then quad draw. Alright. I have symmetry off. I turn that on. Oh, I need one more loop. And you can see that the problem with having those two loops for the muscle here is that you're pushing those loops inwards this direction, so they're going this direction instead of straight up and down, and that's going to cause some weighting difficulties in the future because those ones are curved a little bit more or less. So yeah, I don't think there is an easy way to fix those, but you can of course try to drag things around. I mean, it doesn't have to be super good, but flat enough, right, like that. And when they reaches to the bottom, because that part doesn't need to bend, that's when we solve those really dense problems. So we don't make them go all the way down, or we make them face each other at the very end over here. Okay, so something like this. Oh. Smooth that out, maybe. You know what, I just want to tackle them at the very bottom, so I don't really want to smooth. Just make them go down there. Alright, maybe even further than that. I have one more loop here. Okay, cool. So now they're all finished here. And for those ones, just keep going. It reaches the top of the clavicle. And for the back, let's also just going down that way, make it flat, fill in. Same thing goes to the back. Okay. Now here, let me just have one more loop. Now, why I choose to have one more loop here is because I still think that's the bending area of the neck. So I don't want to create any irregular geometries over there. It's just parallel loops. If you look at that, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 parallel loops that I want to establish on the area I think that are still belongs to the neck. And then after that, after I think, okay, that's going to be transferring from neck to the body now, then I will have something different. So here it will be like this. So I have a penta over there. And then this loop here, this loop I'm doing is the clavicle. So it goes in like that. So we do have a top for it, if that makes sense. It's just like, if you look at this loop here, we have the front, the inside, and the top of that bone. And maybe I can have one more loop just to make it look rounded. Right. Okay. So then that one goes in. And we all know that that one goes in, right? If we really want to be representing the anatomy here, we can make that one go all the way back. So now this structure I'm selecting now is the clavicle. But again, this is anatomy driven topology, which doesn't make much sense, because if you follow everything use anatomy, you want every muscle to be there represented by topology. It's gonna make the weighting really hard to do, and doesn't really help a lot on the deformation part. So I would say keep things simpler. So that one, just to make it go all the way and wrap around, more or less, that's still gonna be accurate if you're talking about anatomy, more or less. So it's gonna go from here. Maybe I need one more loop. That part appears to be too less dense, but yeah. Or I can just make it go, you know what, I'm gonna make it go back. According to the anatomy of that part, right, the clavicle will be the starting edge of the deltoid. I'm just gonna do that here. So this is the clavicle, it rotates back. and that's gonna be where it connects to the scapular on the back. So I'm gonna create this loop. And that's the scapular loop, right? So if I really wanted to have that, I can of course do that. Need one more loop, no problem. Okay, so this is going to be the part from the neck to the body, or more precisely from neck to clavicle and scapular in the front and back, how I would represent those. But again, the shape here, the topology here on this part should be as simple as possible, because if you make them too complicated, it doesn't really help too much. But it will be harder for the weighting, especially for the neck part, this part. If you really check it, I have 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4 loops here to help the bending. And what after that, those parts are not that important, because we all know that the chest is the solid piece, right? It doesn't deform that much, but doesn't bend. Maybe just some sliding of the clavicle, but that's it. Or bending, the clavicle bending. So you don't have to make it too complicated either. Just make it simple as you think that it could be already representing the shape you're doing, and then we're good. Okay, so that's gonna be this part, and then in the next tutorial we're gonna keep on going to finish the body part. Okay, so see you next time.